Slava Isusu Christu, glory be to Jesus Christ. We are continuing our series on a Modern Day Martyr, Blessed Vasyl Velychkovsky. Today I'd like to share with you some details about his second arrest. His second arrest occurred on January 27, 1969. This was the time of the persecution, different from the first arrest, which happened in 1945. Now the church was totally an illegal body. He had returned from prison in 1955 and found a non-existent church, began to build an underground Ukrainian Greek Catholic church, became the bishop of this church in 1963, and so he was under the constant watchful eye of the KGB. And in 1968, they began to clamp down on the clergy of the church that were in any way active. And so they had done several house searches of his apartment. He knew that his time was short, and he shared with Sister Constantina. He told her, "My time is near, and they're after me." And sure enough, toward the end of January, they arrested him. Just prior to the arrest, there were several theories of why he was arrested or the circumstances of his arrest. One theory is that some priest from Canada, or rather someone posing as a priest from Canada, came to visit him on January 26th or 25th. And he convinced Blessed Vasyl that he was from Canada, and Blessed Vasyl shared with him all kind of things, and including giving him a copy of the booklet on the history of the icon of a Mother of Perpetual Help. And it says, one person's theory, that on the very next day, they arrested Blessed Vasyl. There's another, perhaps even more plausible, perhaps both stories could be true. Blessed Vasyl was preparing a list of signatures and of petition to the Soviet government to allow at least one church in Lviv to be opened for the Ukrainian Catholics. And he was preparing these documents and was going to take them to Moscow. And he had a lawyer prepare these documents. The lawyer was a nephew of a sister of St. Basil, Sister Olga. And Blessed Vasyl was about to leave for Moscow, but the documents weren't quite ready, and so the lawyer told him, "Come to Sister Olga's tomorrow morning, and I will pass on these documents to you." When Blessed Vasyl arrived at Sister Olga's, one account says that he was having divine liturgy there, perhaps not. But while he was there, the KGB came and they arrested him. We have also a living witness from Sister Musa, a very close friend of Blessed Vasyl. She went that morning to Sister Olga's place to see Blessed Vasyl. She knew he would be there. She goes there and she says, as I come to the place, and there are the KGB who are doing a house search. And one of them approaches me and says, "What do you want?" And I said, I bought some bread, which she had in a bag. I bought some bread for my friend here, Olga. And on top of the bag, or in the bag, were 2 letters. And when she saw those letters being taken out of the bag, she froze, because they were letters given to her to pass on to Blessed Vasyl concerning who needed to be baptized. And so she was going to pass it on to Blessed Vasyl. And the KGB officer asked her, "Where are these from?" And she says, "Oh, they're from my children, wrote me a letter." And she kind of chuckled when she said that, because she was a sister of St. Basil's all her life. And he just took those letters and threw them back in the bag. She says, "That was the first miracle Blessed Vasyl gave for me." And then they handcuffed him, and as he was passing by me with his hand behind his back, handcuffed, he made a sign of the cross, blessing me for the last time. She tells that story, that account of that event, with tears in her eyes. And some say that he went from Sister Olga's place back to his apartment for a house search. They searched his place. In that house search, they found a copy of that book on the history of the icon of Our Mother Perpetual Help and other items. They arrested him and placed him in a prison on Holodenko Street in Lviv, where he was there for almost 8 months. I haven't yet done an in-depth study of that time, but during that time we know that even news came to Canada that Blessed Vasyl had died in prison. And the story that I heard from our Redemptorists in Ukraine was that from the sisters, that news came out that he had died. They were saying that the guards were going to carry him to the morgue. And as they were about to carry him, the guard that took him under the armpit says, it's still warm under here. And so they left him, and in a few minutes, Blessed Vasyl woke up and stood up. So they were kind of shocked that he had come back to life. But that news spread, as I mentioned, even to Canada. We heard that Blessed Vasyl had passed on, and we had panachedas for his death. Second time it happened in his life that he was still alive, and they already were praying for his soul. His court case started September 26th, 1969. We have several eyewitnesses who were at the court. Various priests were called. Perhaps someday I will go in detail on the trial. I just know that after the trial, one young girl confessed or admitted that Blessed Vasyl baptized her, and there was really no big crimes. On his record, it was for writing the book on Our Mother Perpetual Help, listening to Vatican radio, for organizing seminaries, and for baptizing people. That was the crimes that he had committed to gain him a 3-year sentence. Just prior to the sentencing, Blessed Vasyl said a few words and talked about justice and of true justice, and not just fabricated justice, and that he's an old man and had suffered already 8 months, and that his sentence should be a small one. Well, he received 3 years and was sentenced to eastern Ukraine, where the war is now happening, to a psych hospital in a place called Komunarsk. Today's name of that place is Alkhamsk, near Luhansk. So he spent his 3 years there, almost died in prison. Someday we'll talk about that experience. Slava Isusu Christu. Glory be to Jesus Christ.